Ancient history is one of the most fascinating parts of our history, and movies set in this backdrop of ancient civilizations have been some of the most popular and in-demand genres for decades now. But for some reason, it seems ancient history has taken a backseat over the past couple of years in favor of medieval and more Vikings-based movies instead. I am a huge fan of these as well, but I would love to see more movies based around ancient civilizations and cultures going forward in the future. However, luckily we still do have a huge number of ancient historical movies, with a large number of these films falling under the radar and being forgotten about. So, this list will give you my recommendations of 5 excellent historical movies based around an ancient civilization that I think many viewers of this channel may not have seen yet. But before we begin, don't forget, if you love anything to do with historical movies or historical TV shows, then subscribe to my channel, History Spark. So at number 5, it is The Fall of the Roman Empire, the classic 1964 sword and sandal film, which looked at the corruption and politics present within the Roman Empire during the reign of Commodus, and how these events started the decline of the Roman Empire and the downfall of all its glory. Although this film was a huge box office bomb, it still garnered positive feedback from critics as the plot and story for the movie were great, but it just got released at a time when the market was oversaturated with sword and sandal films. Fall of the Roman Empire highlights what makes the classic era of historical films so endearing even to this day, as the movie relies solely on amazing acting by the entire cast and a strong plot to carry the movie forward, as there is no CGI or over-the-top action in this film. There are a few shortcomings in terms of pacing and character motivation, but this shouldn't stop fans from watching this film of perhaps one of the most underrated and forgotten films of what is referred to as the golden era of cinema. At number 4, it is Beowulf and Grendel, a 2005 historical fantasy adventure based around the Anglo-Saxon epic poem Beowulf, which takes place in ancient Scandinavia. I remember watching this film many years ago, and it was a film that I believe fell largely under the radar, and I had never even heard or seen Beowulf and Grendel again till I started doing some research for one of my videos. I want to start off by saying this film deserves to be higher than a 5.8 that it has on IMDb. It is not an amazing film by any stretch, but it's an engaging and entertaining movie which tries to tell a complicated poem on a small budget. And I feel like maybe a 6.5 would be a more fair score to give this film. But nonetheless, Beowulf and Grendel stars Gerard Butler and Stellan Skarsgård, so the acting here is decent, but definitely not the best work of either one of their careers. The storyline is serviceable and depicts the poem well enough. The costume design and set pieces are magnificent as well, or as good as could be expected for a limited budget movie. But if you can ignore the flaws such as no character development and some pointless subplots, then watching Beowulf and Grendel might be a great way to pass away a few hours on an evening when you want to watch something a little bit different. And at number 3, it is Helen of Troy, a film based around the Trojan War, with it drawing most of its inspiration from the Iliad by Homer. This is a semi-decent portrayal of the Trojan War, and I really enjoyed it as I didn't have many expectations for this film, but it was a much better movie than I was initially anticipating. It was also cool to see some pretty famous actors like Stellan Skarsgård once again and John Rhys Davies in the film as well. The acting in this film is pretty good, as the budget for this Helen of Troy depiction wasn't very big, so the emphasis here is on storytelling rather than large battles and action scenes. Overall, I thought the film was good, and if you go in without comparing it too much to Troy, you will find an enjoyable and little known about movie that gives a fairly good depiction of the Iliad. And at number 2, we have Imperium Augustus, which is one of my favorite films of the Imperium series, and it depicts Augustus' life in a first-person narrative from Caesar's assassination to his eventual last days as Rome's first emperor. This film is an extraordinary watch, and it really does a fantastic job of bringing Augustus' unique story to life, as he is arguably Rome's greatest emperor, but he seems to be regularly overlooked for TV shows and movies for more popular figures such as Caesar or Caligula. Peter O'Toole is amazing here as an aging and weary Augustus, and his amazing narration and acting keeps the film intriguing from beginning to end. The film does a great job of keeping the viewer engaged simply with strong storytelling, amazing acting, and unexpected plot twists. However, I do have to give the forewarning that this film is not necessarily easily accessible for anyone that isn't overly familiar with Roman history, as characters are introduced, killed off, or just mentioned in passing who are major characters in Roman history but may not mean much to general audiences. However, if you consider yourself a true fan of Roman history, then Imperium Augustus is my recommendation for you, as well as the rest of the entire Imperium series as well. And the top spot on this list goes to Agora, a historical drama which follows the life of Hypatia, an Alexandrian mathematician, philosopher, and astronomer, with the story depicting her life from her childhood to her eventual death. This film's key focus is on the relationship between religion and science, as the polytheistic religions of Alexandria continually clash with the beliefs of the growing Christian religion. This film does a fantastic job of highlighting how difficult it was to advance science and the astronomies during this time due to religious constraints and the growing influence of external forces within Alexandria. Rachel Weisz really shines in her role of Hypatia and does a fantastic job of bringing her character to life. All of the supporting cast in fact do a fantastic job of further filling out the world as well. The plot is great, with lots of unexpected twists and turns, making this film a great watch from beginning to end. There are a few stumbling points here as the pacing does struggle a bit at times, and the political situation discussed in the film could have been expanded upon a little bit more. But if you're looking for a great film that most people probably have not had a chance to watch yet, and it does a great job of blending Roman, Christian, and scientific influences within ancient Alexandria together, then Agora is my recommendation for you. Lastly, I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please do like and share this video with others, and hit the subscribe button as well if you haven't already, as I post videos on historical movies and historical TV shows each and every week. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.